All right, so that takes us into the main card, man. And let me tell you, I'm pumped for this one, man. So many beautiful heavyweight fights.
I know,
This
right?
is a great,
This is a pies present for
yeah.
sure. And we know that they're gonna probably pick some fights from the bottom and add them. Like I don't see why you wouldn't, especially on a non like pay-per-view main card, you know. I
Hmm.
like I wouldn't be upset if this was even a six fight main card with like
Main
two,
card, yeah.
you know, with the two of these fights kind of popping up. We'll see what happens though. Still some time.
Wouldn't mind seeing Phil Hawes moved up here for sure. So,
So that's gonna be
let's
exciting.
start with let's start with this one. We got a heavyweight bout between Andrei Arlovski and Tom Aspinall.
That's your
You can
boy,
tell I'm excited for this card.
right?
This is gonna be a great one, man.
Mhm.
Arlovski comes in 30-19 record, 42 years of age. And man, did he surprise us in his last fight? That's for damn sure, man. He has constructed a 9-9 record in the UFC. But again, don't let that record fool you. We've
He's
talked
also a
about this
past
before.
champion, right? He's an ex UFC
Yeah,
heavyweight
exactly.
champion.
Who are his losses against? Stipe, Overeem, Ngannou. There's some of the beasts, man. And it looks like he's really revived his career, man. He's gone
Mhm.
3-1 in his last four. Wins against Ben Rothwell, Philipe Lins. Most recently, we saw him against Tanner Boser, man. And we were pretty high on Tanner Boser. Nice prospect here, Canadian boy.
Mhm.
And man, Arlovski dusted him, man. That was an impressive victory.
Straight striking footwork, like levels,
Hmm.
right? Chess game that we talk about. Like that was just a guy who was 100% 4 to 5 steps ahead of you. You go in with certain, like that's the thing, you know. There was a certain commentator who talked about it, and it was probably Dominic Cruz. I want to give him the edge on that statement, but he just talks about how when you rely on even say a 1-2 punch combo or two type power shots that you kind of throw, unfortunately against the guy who's either been in there for a while or trains heavily in striking, especially boxing where footwork is so important because you can't really throw kicks, so your feet are
Hmm.
fundamentally all about keeping your hips moving and keeping you on your bicycle, as they say, right? So that's
Hmm.
where like you're seeing the difference. I think Tanner Boser is a wonderful MMA striker. I think he brings a lot of that as a prospect in the middle of the pack type of thing. But you said it best. He got humbled. He got humbled really well, and I
Yeah.
think that that's where you kind of got to give Arlovski a good bump. And this is a big fight.
Yeah, and you got to give him that credit, man. Like he looked to be in great shape. He did not look
Mm-hmm.
42 years of
Always.
age. He
Mm-hmm.
looked to be the better in shape man, and I got to give him credit for that. So looking
100%.
forward to seeing him back in the octagon on Saturday. And now he's taking on a seriously exciting young prospect in
Mm-hmm.
Tom Aspinall. We've talked about this guy before. 9-2 record. He's won 5 in a row. He's blasted onto the UFC scene. 2-0 there. Impressive wins. Jake Collier, Alan Baudot, both in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Obvious thing to note on this guy is that it never gets to decision. This guy is a finisher, man. I'm
100%, bro.
excited about this one. I don't think this is your normal heavyweight fight here, man. We're gonna see two dudes in shape, ready to
100%.
go.
And this is the thing, right? The Tanner Boser fight was so good, right? In the sense of like you saw such good back and forth striking, and it's just the chess match, right? You have to appreciate, especially if heavyweights can do it for 3 rounds. You have
Hmm.
to respect that because we're talking about how it's such a dying breed to watch some of these guys be that technical for 3 rounds. And I think,
Yeah.
yes, you know, Boser got humbled, but he got humbled by one of the greatest heavyweights the UFC has ever seen. You know what I mean?
Yep.
We just talked about how like there's certain losses that aren't real losses, and that's a great one for
Hmm.
Tanner Boser so early in his UFC career. So now let's go into Tom Aspinall in the exact same position. You know what I like about Aspinall, I guess, in terms of comparing the two? One,
Fair play.
size. Aspinall's a true heavyweight. He's the truest
Hmm.
of heavyweights. He
Yeah.
really is. Like he carries that weight very well. That's like that football style, you know, like that's what he looks like,
Hmm.
you know. And the thing is that the other area where I kind of just we touched on the footwork, right? I think that's where Arlovski was really able to kind of pick a bit of a difference, right? Because Boser landed so many good shots. It's crazy when you think about it. Like I'm actually like looking
Yeah.
back at them even right now. Like, you look at the fight and it's insane how close he really was. And so that's where, for me, you go into Aspinall's numbers. It's kind of insane, right? Despite only having 2 fights, I think they're slightly gimme fights because one was also on short notice. Like you talk about Spivak, right? I think if that fight happened, both these guys would have had a better opportunity to see where they'd be right now. That's the one thing I feel very sad for Aspinall is that he had some opportunity to. He could have probably fought 3 or 4 times last year. But unfortunately, like fights are falling out, and that's where for me, like I wish we saw him because this is a guy we would have seen maybe headlining a smaller card, maybe not this level anymore because like guys are being able to kind of Blades Lewis Vegas card is a big deal. So I think that would have just been the area that he's in. Maybe if it's a co-main, like he would have been able to attract that kind of bump. If he did fight 3 to 4 times last year, I almost guarantee that. And so, it makes you think about going from Spivak to Arlovski, which is oceans apart, in my opinion. And on top of that, because of a short notice win over Alain Baudot, was it Alain Baudot? I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah. So, and we saw Baudot, right? Baudot is the guy who does make people look a little good with how he gets knocked out. So, I thought he did a great job of filling in. He's got great length, kind of put him to work in that way a little bit. But look at these numbers, bro. Aspinall's 2 fights against Collier and this man, 11 strikes landed per minute, and then his defense is 71% with only 2.5 strikes absorbed. This man is just going to work. Unfortunately, like he's never been taken down in those fights. He took mans down in those fights. Like this is just the perfect test for a guy who, Arlovski's got 79% takedown defense. So these are the things that you want to kind of keep in mind because if Arlovski gets out of the first round, my big point on Aspinall, bro, is anytime he's been in the second round, he's lost the fight. Whether it's whether it's by, the reason of just a disqualification or or an actual heel hook, which was really early in his career. I mean, he still loses the fights in the second round. So my thing with Arlovski, bro, it's like, if this man is able to kind of just somehow, some way withstand those massive, he's taking on a much better boxer, I think, than Tanner Boser. That is 100% my opinion there. This man, he likes to box on the side of his MMA career. Like I think he started as that. So you're just looking at a guy who's very much ready for this level. And I think there's a massive separation there between Boser and him. And that's where I think he deserved this fight over the Spivak fight. And you can appreciate that since he didn't even fight much last year. That in itself kind of tells you where both of these guys are at in their career, right? But man, I'm really, really taken aback by that part of it. I just think that's a massive stat that no one's talking about. And if Arlovski somehow, some way lasts that first round, geez, I don't know, man. Like a good fight, it could really be on our hands, man. Arlovski pushing him up against the fence as much as possible. Like this guy is going to be strong. Like he's going to be very strong. But Arlovski's been in there with some massive, massive people. He's seen it all. And that's where this.
And he has that grown man strength, yo. He has that grown man strength, yo. So let's dive into the lines here. Who do you see being the favorite in this one?
I mean, let's be real. I think that everything I said here will line up with the line. I think you have to say that Aspinall has really put on that show. He has not disappointed us. We've taken him in every single fight that we've seen him, and by finish, and it's just never disappointed. So Aspinall usually comes in at between a -200 and a -350 and just rises, a -200 and a -300, and then he just rises up to that 350, 400 range. I don't think in this fight you're going to see much of that rise, but I think his opening line can land somewhere pretty high. I'm going to have to go with Aspinall at a -250.
Wow, very impressive, man. To have that, let's give him the bell. Let's give him the bell. Ooh. But what was phenomenal was that breakdown, man. I gotta say, the logic on the line analysis there, like that was some good stuff, man. And you're right. He's -275, right where he expected it.
Well, thank you for making me pay so much attention to them. So it's all thanks to you, right?
Moving up to that -300 would not surprise me. And honestly, man, that line analysis was very impressive. That was spot on. I would not have been disappointed with the showcase showdown on that. So, given that line, It's what I expected. You know, we saw a
Let's
similar
go,
line with Tanner
Pisey.
Boser
Say
and all
it.
that kind of
Say it, Pisey.
stuff.
What are you thinking? What are you thinking?
Yeah. How are we not sprinkling here?
Yeah, so it's funny, right? We made the same joke in the Frankie fight, but in the Frankie fight, that's all heart, right? I think in this fight, there is a slight path to victory here. And if you're telling me that he's still getting that minus like 200, minus 250 bump, I mean,
Yeah.
I would say that's a sprinkle today because I don't know if like who's betting this line up? You know what I mean? Like, are people going to see this like us and be like, well, you know what? Arlovski took a guy down who exactly did this, but Aspinall is I think, a little bit further ahead than Boser when it comes to that advanced level striking, especially as pure boxer. That's why if Arlovski can even get it in a clinch, if he can get this up against the fence somehow, some way, man. You know, I think it goes either way, right? You want to, again, that's the weird thing about it, right? I think this is one of those fights where if you go look at the finish in the first round, I can see Aspinall's line just similar to Khalil Roundtree's. Remember we looked at that one and joked, like, who's taking a minus
that
110?
like a plus 150 or something.
No, bro, a minus 110. Who's taking a minus 110 finish in the first round? That's a joke. That's a joke of a line, in my opinion. And funny enough, when we looked at that, it had me thinking about something similar here, right? When you look at it from the flip side, it wouldn't be surprised based on the bump to see something where, you know, Aspinall ends up to that minus 300 and then is getting some kind of first round finish line at maybe plus 100, plus 110. Because, yeah, man, you have to tell yourself, you know, and it's funny, you make me focus on the Vegas line, but this is one where I was like, no, this is one where the footwork and all that stuff will come into play. And, you know, I've seen Arlovski just get absolutely dusted by some of the biggest power punchers we've seen in the heavyweight division. So there is that chance. You know, if you see Aspinall at plus money for a knockout, I mean, you know, it going both ways. It's all about value at this point and how you see this playing out. For us, it's like in having to make a decision. Oof. I think this might be one of the toughest ones because we've rode Aspinall up until this point. You can make the same argument for Chimaev. Everyone was saying that the Leon Edwards fight was the one to kind of keep an eye on. Well, Aspinall is just so unproven based on who he's fought, despite looking so phenomenal regionally and in the UFC, that this is such a massive jump. You know, such a massive jump.
Huge jump.
And the line only jumped, what, 50 points? That's what kind of blows my mind. Blows my mind.
Very similar to the Tanner Boser line as well. So, you know, kind of stay tuned for that one as the props open up and stuff. We will be looking into that. And, you know, like Suraj kind of touched on, one thing that would stand out to me watching this fight live is if he can get out of the first round, you know, getting a live line on him would be real nice here because we know Aspinall coming out of the first round does get tired.
Exactly. Well, and it's the thing is we don't even know if he gets like for sure tired, bro. It's like you're right. Like the one thing you kind of always pitch is like, you know, you can't argue with the you know, ATS lines. Like when you look at a team's record in a certain situation and all those kinds of things, like those things do play a part. And if you don't take them into consideration, streaks are streaks. And so that's where it's like, you know, it plays with the MMA mind a little bit because that's where you kind of see these dogs coming out. So if Arlovski's chin holds up or he doesn't take as big of those shots, I mean, come on, man. This is looking like a different fight. Like, could we even sprinkle an Arlovski finish in the third just for the sake of it? You know?
Yeah.
Hey, who knows?
Yeah, and honestly, I think you made a great point there. It becomes foreign territory, right? You're used to finishing all your fights in round one. That mentally, that's kind of where you're at. When it doesn't go your way, now there's foreign territory to you, right? And it's like,
and you can make the argument that he's proven that that's happened twice to him. That's the part that throws me off, Paisane. That's the part that throws me off.
And he wasn't able to adapt. So, you know, stay tuned for that one, but we'll have some good stuff for you guys for that one for sure. You know, safe to say we are pumped for this one. UFC Vegas 19 takes place next Saturday, headlined by our boy, the Black Beast, taking on Curtis Blades. We got a bunch of beauty heavyweight fights on that card, so I'm super pumped for it. You know, that wraps it up today. If you haven't already done so, smash that like button, hit that bell button, give us that subscribe, the follow. All our Instagram, Twitter is all there. Any questions, comments you guys have, just send them our way. Anything else, Siraj?
I mean, just be ready. Like we keep pumping this fight up, but be ready for a 5-round wrestling match where Curtis Blades isn't able to finish this man, and Derek Lewis isn't able to get off his back after 3 rounds, and you're just watching a guy get taken down for 5 rounds. So just be ready for that as well.
Yeah. Nice little disclaimer there, my man. Yeah. Always a pleasure, dude. Take care.
You too, my guy. Take care.